guilt is a strong word, but that wasn't great. And this is what life's about, isn't it? It's all learning. And unfortunately, I feel like she invested like good years of her life into a relationship that didn't turn into anything. Yeah, but you can't hold on to these things and have any regrets. You just have to learn from it. And thankfully, I was belief that I couldn't operate like a normal person unless I had the cold plunge to start my day, because I'd just be whatever, depressed, anxious, fill in the blank. Going to Bali in 9 days. I'd probably struggle to look forward to it a little bit, because I feel like if I look forward to a thing, then it's almost like an admission that I'm unhappy where I am right now, and therefore right now, where I live right now, I will then be sad.
I'm seeing or hearing some background movement or activity. What's going on your side? Are you showing me something or just talking as you move around?
I'm currently out in the car with my camera rolling as I was stuck for an episode idea for the podcast. So right now we're recording, and I thought perhaps you could jump in and take over as the host today and interview me with some questions, the kind of thing that might be useful to the listener, to my audience, and offer some value. But I'll let you be kind of random and use the context that you know about me to kick things off.
All right, Jason, since you're in the hot seat, let's flip it. First question, if you had to start from scratch today, no audience, no connections, which marketing channel would you bet on first to rebuild momentum, and why?
Okay, this is an interesting one. So what marketing channels if I had to start again? I would say, I think this is a really interesting question, because it makes me really think about, like, if I was starting from scratch, I mean, why wouldn't I just apply this now? I mean, I've certainly not cracked the code of super exposure for the podcast. But I think one that's coming up for me is actually YouTube. I feel like YouTube, email list, like they're probably the two longest levers that you can pull. And then I would include in that YouTube Shorts. I feel like when it comes to YouTube Shorts, it's if anyone's used Instagram trial reels, kind of feels a little bit like that. You can get, because it's kind of like pushing it out to your non-followers by default, rather than Instagram, I don't know, feels like a little bit more follower first, if that makes sense. But you could equally say TikTok. I've just not really done that much on TikTok. And I think getting people off of TikTok's platform isn't super easy in terms of link in bio and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say YouTube Shorts, email, and then I would throw in a bonus one there, which would just be paid ads. I feel like it's quite fashionable to say that, you need to do organic first. Make sure you crack organic before you go to paid. But it's it depends on your situation. For example, take me, where I have more than one job, so I can kind of use that income to be able to invest in advertising for other businesses. So I could run ads for the podcast paid for by my agency work. And then that's pretty high leverage. I'm not having to constantly trying to be creating the perfect reel with a hook and stuff. I can just kind of focus on my long form content and also like put a small budget towards running some paid ads. And if you are, provided that you are capturing that energy via email list, SMS, whatever, then I think that's going to be like, yeah, a useful strategy going forward. And like I say, it makes me think about what I'm doing at the moment, and maybe I should be doing precisely what I've just said.
I think you've just given yourself a blueprint. No excuses. You're already juggling multiple ventures. Start running those ads, capture leads, and see what happens.
Don't forget, we're having a podcast conversation. You forgot to ask a follow-up. That's generally how this works.
Fair point. I'll keep you on your toes. Next one. If you had to kill one of your projects tomorrow, Indie podcast or marketing agency, which one do you let go of and why?
Okay, so Indie, marketing agency or podcast, which one am I going to kill and why? I would say I'm never killing the podcast. Whatever format it takes, whether it turns into more of a YouTube vlog, whether it turns into just solo episodes or interviews or whatever, I really think it's important for me to keep it. Because I was thinking the other day, like, I'm always thinking about quitting the podcast because it's like, I've been going for 3 years now, and it's a lot of work and a lot of pressure every single week to be coming up with content. I mean, look at this, right? And I think that I can sometimes be a little bit hard on myself to be like, oh, even the name, like I'm always thinking about the name, going, oh, the name's wrong, I need to change it. Like it's too kind of spiritual sounding. And then I end up feeling like that is constraining me to like, oh, it needs to be self-improvement. You know, like why couldn't I start to do something like comedy? Not that I'm a comedian, but you know, it's something like a little bit more silly and enjoyable. This is what I've been thinking recently, just kind of blending the sort of two styles, I suppose. Sorry, I've gone off on a podcast tangent with this particular question. So I think it's important for me to keep it in whatever form it is, because it's kind of like a frozen time capsule of my journey. And maybe, you know, and I think that's why maybe sometimes I think, oh, maybe it should just be called Jason Berry Podcast. But I think the name is the name. Awaken Out of Context is cool. And it kind of fits into just like this growth and continual kind of development, which is exactly what the podcast is. So podcast is In Deep is the Habits app. I must admit, that's probably the most, at the moment, the thing that I've neglected the most in terms of improving things. I'm still running the beta. So even if you wanted to, you can't even pay me for the service. It's all just free access, and that's cool. But I was thinking maybe I start to develop it into rather than like trying to have it as this super fancy app. I think given the competitive landscape of mobile apps at the moment, like everyone is putting them out because it's the barrier to launch has been lowered so much with the AI and all these other tools, and I think just the standard now is so high. Like I've seen other apps that are doing a similar thing to mine, and they're just beautiful. Like, oh, pothole, bloody hell, So, um, yeah, they're absolutely gorgeous, and they're like almost like animated and stuff, and like mine is like super minimal. Yeah. So, but one of the things I was thinking was maybe I include the software as part of a coaching offering, or some sort of cohort that I could run to help you guys, listeners, or anyone who would want some form of coaching. So yeah, and then I can have my own custom tools to like plug into that. So you would pay for to be part of some sort of cohort, and then with it you would get in deep included for free or something like that, and I would use that to then check in and manage, etc. So I don't know if my hand's just been in the middle of the camera for the last 10 minutes or so with me gesturing. So I've not answered this question yet, have I? And then the agency work, I don't talk too much about it on the podcast. I kind of keep that a little bit separate, but that's what pays the bills. So, but which would I drop? I've put so much work into all of these things, and I won't want to drop in deep either. Fuck it, I'll say the agency. Drop the agency work. Just go all in on the coaching and the podcast. Although that sounds terrifying, I'm not planning on leaving the agency anytime soon. But if I had to pick, that would be the one.
And since you don't have to, you've got your direction. Next question. If you had to launch a brand new podcast format next month, what's the most out-of-the-box idea you'd dare to try?
When you say out of the box, do you mean like ready to go, or do you mean thinking outside of the box?
I mean push the limits. Something that would surprise your audience and maybe even you. What's a wild concept you'd actually go for?
Okay, these are good questions. If you're watching on video right now and you're wondering whereabouts we are, we're just approaching Bowness on Windermere. Anyways, back to the question. So it was the Wildcard podcast launch. I would say, I think it would be probably like one of three kind of ideas that I've been thinking about. So number one would be, oh man, this is hard. Okay, so I'll tell you, no, there's a fourth one. I'm always thinking of different ideas. So the first one would be probably just a all-in fitness podcast, like High Rocks, CrossFit, super dialed in on that, although that's not much of a wild card. The second one would be something around the lightweight, banter, comedic, ludicrous esque style, which I was talking about before. In terms of what that would look like, I'm not entirely sure, but it could be just me like talking to my mates, chatting like absolute shit, and just trying to be preposterously outrageous and inappropriate. This is this is Bowness, by the way. And was the other one? Oh, the third idea would be something to do with using AI, vibe coding, or AI practical application, something along those lines. And the fourth one was this is definitely more the wild card. So it was launching a new podcast called Death, something around death. death podcast or whatever. I know it sounds like ridiculous, but using the kind of the whole like I have muerte on my wrist, you only live once kind of vibe, and I would interview guests, and the whole theme would be kind of like really tapping into like that stark reality that you are going to die, and to really bring you in the present and be like, what would you do if you knew that like this was all going to end? If you were really like, if you knew that you couldn't fail, you know, if you knew that you were gonna, I don't know, die in a year's time, what would you do? Like, I love that as a heuristic. I don't know if a heuristic is the right word for it. I think it's a nice way to really reaffirm what it is that matters to you, etc. So, yeah. So the concept probably wouldn't be that too much different to kind of what I do now, but just rebundled up and repackaged in a way that is surrounding death.
You nailed it. That's a concept with teeth. Now run with it.
I think you're misunderstanding this. You're not supposed to be coaching me through this. You're interviewing me as a podcast host.
Fair enough. I'll own that. Let's reset. Jason, what's a personal failure you've never shared before, and what did you learn from it?
Going in hard. I feel like I've shared most things on the show. This is the Lowood Bay that we're just going past, by the way. I came here on my birthday as a treat. They have a amazing like spa and stuff outside with a beautiful view over to the Langdales and stuff over the lake there, so that's really nice. We're just approaching Ambleside, rainy Ambleside, which is pretty regular around here. Personal failure that I've never shared before. I've been really like flipping through the archives here to pull something out. I think probably would be my first long-term girlfriend. We were together from ages 19 until 26. So really big years. You know, basically grew up together, became adults together. And I think I stayed in that relationship too long. I think, yeah, I'd considered leaving a few times before, and kind of would just be like, oh no, things will get better, it'll be okay. And then, you know, and then one thing would happen where kind of things would kind of get better. So then you go, okay, like that'll just quieten down that inner voice for a time, or you get distracted by, okay, let's move into a new place, or go on a nice holiday, and all these things that kind of just distract you along the way. So I think I do feel, I wouldn't say guilt is a strong word, but you know, that wasn't great. And this is what life's about, isn't it? It's all learning. And unfortunately, I suppose I feel like she invested like good years of her life into a relationship that didn't turn into anything. But you can't hold on to these things and have any regrets and stuff. You just have to learn from it. And thankfully, I was in the last relationship I was in. I'm sure that could have ended up turning into a similar, much more long-term relationship, but decided to leave after 3 years. So I guess there will be some learnings there. But yeah, on the kind of the positive side of that, although we don't speak anymore, I do feel grateful for the times I had with both of my exes, and particularly the early one that I was talking about before. Like, we had some really great times. We went to some amazing places. We used to have a really good laugh. So yeah, I'm grateful for that. I genuinely am. That's not me trying to be all like fluffy because I'm on the podcast. But I think that I had this thought recently whereby, so imagine I'm in a scenario whereby the girl that I was with for 7 years, say, let's say at 6 years, one of us dies. Like, for the sake of this example, let's say she died and at 6 years, or around the time where I'm maybe thinking of leaving her. Actually, no, forget that. But let's say, as a thought experiment, someone right in the middle of a relationship, they pass away, and then you have this grief, and then that person is kind of just like locked in time as like only positive memories. Do you know what I mean? And why is it any different that at the end of your relationship things went a little bit sour? Not that they necessarily did in this example. We were very amicable up until the end and made it really hard. But like, do you know what I mean? It's so much easier for us to be like, oh, I don't talk about my ex, or I've deleted all the pictures of my ex, or thrown away all the photographs, or anything to do with them. But it's like, that's your life. Like, you're going to throw away like 7 years worth, or whatever the example might be for you. Like, at that time, it was the right thing for you. So I feel like we really should get better at being able to view those times with gratitude and how they felt at the time. And maybe at the time, okay, sometimes at the time you might be like, oh, don't know if I'm happy or whatever. But there were lots of really good times, and I think it's worth not casting those things aside. Not because that, like, why would you not remember your life? And that's a huge part of it. If you were in a relationship for, I don't know, your entire life or whatever, would you just ignore like that part of it? No, like, that's crazy. So yeah. So that's although I think I'm being a little bit harsh on myself to say it's a failure, but I guess it was a failure because it didn't work out as a relationship, and also I probably should have left a little bit sooner. But nonetheless, I'm still grateful.
What's one thing you're most excited about right now, and why does it matter to you?
This is Grasmere, by the way. That was the roundabout to Grasmere. Just heading back towards Rydal, Ambleside, and I'm going to go via Coniston. What's one thing that I'm most excited about? Well, I'm going to Bali in 9 days for an extended stay, which I haven't been excited about for a long time, and now I'm starting to definitely look forward to going. I think I'd probably struggle to look forward to it a little bit because I feel like if I look forward to the thing, then it's almost like an admission that I'm unhappy where I am right now, and therefore right now, where I live right now, I will then be sad. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting out there, creating a load of content, really exploring some more creative pursuits, work on stuff for the agency, and I feel like a lot of it it's almost like feels like it is like a work trip for me in terms of like almost like a networking trip and a focused work session. Like I'm looking to make connections and kind of explore further. Like there will be some enjoyable sides of it and more obviously there's going to be leisure time, but I think compared to like when I went traveling 9 years ago, that was very much a leisure trip. And I think one of the things that I regretted during that period was that I didn't work on any business stuff at the time. I had all these ideas and a laptop, but I just didn't really know what I was doing. I think now that I've got a bit more focus, I've got many projects which I can be working on. I'm looking forward to, just treating it as a real retreat and like a very long, deep work session.
A ton of progress, Dad. Thanks for sharing that. All right, here's one. If you could reinvent one aspect of your podcast, no limits, what would you change and why? What's one Bowls guest or topic you've been scared to tackle, and what's holding you back?
Boring. Why are we only talking about the podcast?
Good point. Let's zoom out. What's the most ambitious life goal you have right now beyond the podcast? And what's your next step toward it?
You asked me that one. I didn't like it. I'm gonna fire you. I'm gonna go and speak to Claude now.
No hard feelings. If Claude's your next stop, that's fine. I'll be here if you ever want to pick up again. You've got this, Jason.
Oh, she was actually really nice about that, wasn't she? Hey, Claude, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry about that. What? No worries at all, mate. Right. So let's...
Oh, Claude's
go on then.
You're a hot mess. I feel like ChatGPT's context window is getting filled up. Let me just start a fresh conversation.
All right, Jason. So first off, what's a big belief or habit you once had that you've completely changed your mind about, and why?
I like this guy. What's a belief or habit? Okay, so I think probably habit would be the like the morning cold plunge, but it's a hard one really, because I used to be so structured and rigid with the morning cold plunge, and I kind of had this belief that I couldn't operate like a normal person unless I had the cold plunge to start my day. Because I'd just be whatever, depressed, anxious, fill in the blank. And I rewrit that belief. Interesting how this is kind of turned into a belief. I did rewrite that belief, and was able to realize that, hey, if I don't have a cold plunge in the morning or a cold shower, like I can still actually have a good day. And saying it out loud now sounds a little bit crazy. Like, yeah, I guess you can get so entrenched in certain beliefs and patterns. But the flip side to that would be that I've become these days a little bit scared of the cold water and just don't even entertain it anymore. And I have thought recently, like, I wonder, because I've had some struggles of late with motivation, mental health. It has been a bit of a challenging period. And I sometimes think, yeah, maybe I need to get back to that old version or some of these old habits that worked for me in the past. But I'm just like, man, it's so cold. Like getting up when it's dark or whatever and getting in the bin in my backyard, it's so like miserable. And I think the thing is, though, is that unfortunately, I don't think you feel absolutely amazing every single time. And that's probably one of the reasons why I've not been as enamored by it of late, because sometimes I'll do it and then I'm like, I just feel exhausted by it. You know, it kind of, yeah, just sends me into this kind of relaxed state, but sometimes a bit too relaxed. And then I'll feel like all like butter when I'm trying to get stuff done. So then that's another reason why I got rid of it. So, but might be worthwhile me picking it back up again. So there you go, Arthur. That's the answer to my question. Do you have any follow-ups?
Yeah, what's one habit right now that you're clinging to, but maybe it's time to challenge or evolve it?
Good question. It's going to take some thought. Ice cream in the evenings. Like straight up, that sounds like an unhealthy habit, right? But I think there is definitely something to be said for comfort. And, you know, as someone who lives alone, sometimes I find it difficult to relax at night. The tub of Ben and Jerry's does seem to kind of like chill me out. It's like a marker that the end of the day. And weirdly, actually, I noticed the other week, I got into this bad habit of literally having like a tub of Ben and Jerry's every night. And I've been training really hard, so the calories have been helping me. And I stopped the other week, and then I noticed my performance go down. And I'm sure it wasn't just linked to that, but it did feel like, oh, I'm trying to like be like good and reduce my calories, and now like I feel like shit in the gym. So then I re-added it in and then started feeling good again. So, but I'm sure there are other things going on, and I probably need to rewrite that belief that I need to have ice cream in the evening or whatever to feel strong and relaxed. So yeah, I should reconsider that. So we just went past Skelliff Bridge, and then we're looking over at like the back of Coniston. So Langdale is just over there to the right of me. Okay, so that's my answer.
I think you nailed it. You're seeing that it's not just about ice cream. It's the underlying pattern. Now here's your follow-up. What's one powerful, sustainable way you can end your day that gives you the same decompression without relying on the tub?
Without relying on the tub. There's a theme here. Ice tubs, cold tub, ice cream tub. Good question. So what would do the same thing? So what I'm getting from the ice cream is it's a bookend of the day. So it's kind of like a line in the sand. Like I've done everything. I can relax. I'm trying to think whether it needs to be like food. I could just have Greek yogurt instead. Yeah, that might be a better option. Or maybe some journaling, but journaling is boring, isn't it? Maybe instead of the ice cream, I could play on FC26 as like a treat. Although I do that now. I do that and have ice cream. But I suppose you can't really eat ice cream and... by the way, that's for anyone that doesn't know, it's like what FIFA was, like online football on my Nintendo. I suppose, yeah. So you can't play much online FC26 while you're eating ice cream, so that would be useful, I guess.
Sure. The point is, don't just hunt for a perfect substitute. You need something intentional that signals I'm done. It could be Greek yogurt if you still want a treat, gaming as a reward, or a short shutdown ritual like writing tomorrow's top task. But be real. Ice cream works because it's easy. You've got to choose something that genuinely helps you switch off.
What are some options that other high performers use?
High performers often lean on structured evening routines. For example, some do a brief reflection, just 1 minute. Others do light stretching or a short walk. Some might read a couple pages of a book, not a whole chapter, just a few pages. The key is a small, calming ritual. No overthinking. Pick one simple step, stick to it, and you'll create that same end-of-day switch.
So I think I'm going to start to bring this to a close now. I hope you've enjoyed this format. I realize it's a little bit different to what I would normally do, but I feel like I'm in this very much transitory, liminal kind of phase with a lot of things in my life at the moment. The podcast being one of them. And I'm still kind of, at the moment, kind of just figuring my way through and trying to find that thing that I'm good at, or that, that one thing that really lights me up. And I do think I'm good at podcasting, but I've really struggled of late for guests that I'm actually interested in. I get lots of people wanting to come on, and more often than not, I say no, because it just doesn't interest me, whatever it is that they're doing. I don't mean that in an arrogant way or anything, but I find it really difficult to be just a glorified interviewer at the end of an episode, at the end of the camera. And yeah, so I do have some thoughts and plans, which I've mentioned some of already, but also in terms of the more intellectually stimulating stuff, that's still going to be a thing. But I think I'm trying to lead a little bit more with curiosity first, which is kind of how I begun the podcast. Would be like, I don't know about this topic, or like this, and like I'm interested in attachment style, so I'm going to find someone to talk to about attachment style. And spoke to Jessica De Silva, and she came on the podcast 3 times, and one of my best guests, and beautiful connection there. Like, we still talk and stuff. Rather than just finding guests for guests' sake. And I think the more that you run in, obviously, the more topics that you've already kind of covered. So it's keeping that aligned curiosity is challenging. And I think, and then even like the solo episodes, I've been feeling a huge lack of confidence in myself of late. Imposter syndrome, low mood, depression, whatever you want to call it. Stress. So, whereas in times gone by, I'll be like, right, I'm working on this thing. Like, I've got these ideas. This is what's working for me at the moment. And right now, I'm just like, I'm kind of struggling through. So maybe I don't have that much wisdom to offer you at the moment. But I encourage you to bear with me. And hopefully you appreciate that I'm always real. That'll never change. And that I'm trying to still put out content when life is challenging and maybe it's not the first thing that I want to be doing at the moment. But yeah, I'm going to... Here we are in Coniston, by the way. I worked here for a long time, actually. But yeah, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you for watching. And if any of this resonated with you, let me know. Drop me a message and I'll always reply. So that's all from me. Goodbye from me and from Coniston. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.